Welcome to Psych Sofa, University of South Wales podcast on how psychology can change lives and our world for the better. My name is Dr. Klara Price, and today I am joined by Dr. Philip Tyson, an associate professor and a lecturer in psychology, and Gabrielle Hale, a lecturer in psychology, currently completing a doctoral research project. Today we will be discussing how physical activity and exercise can lead to enhanced sense of well-being. Gabby and Phil, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So Phil, you've been involved in a lot of different projects, but where did it all start?
Okay, so we've been involved in quite a few projects, and our interest stems from trying to understand what the benefits of physical activity are. So, are there psychological benefits? So, for example, enhancing self-esteem. Are there physical benefits such as weight loss? Are there social benefits such as being able to engage with other people and have a kind of an enhanced social life? So in general, that's what we're interested in. And my work began with the Gloucestershire Community Trust, and they were interested in evaluating a programme called Mentalk, which was looking at young people at risk of disengaging with education and how physical activity could enhance their ability to concentrate and focus, and also enhance aspects of their psychological well-being. So it began in Gloucestershire a few years ago with projects such as the Mentalk one. And what we were able to do is to save up some money from the project in order to fund a PhD. And this is where Gabby came in, because we funded Gabby's fees for studying a PhD, looking at the wider benefits of mental health and physical activity in young people.
So Gabby, would you like to tell us a little bit about your PhD work?
Yeah, so as Phil just mentioned, my PhD research is stemmed from early evaluation work that Phil did on the Mentalk programme. And one thing that's important to note is that the Mentalk programme is delivered by Cheltenham Town Professional Football Club. So to give a bit of background, the majority of professional football clubs in the UK, they have a charitable trust that is attached to them. And then that trust will use funding from their parent club, as well as the status of their parent club, to deliver various different types of programmes that attempt to address public health agendas and try to improve the lives of people in their local communities. So essentially with the Mentalk programme, coaches from the football club, they will go into the schools, and these programmes will involve encouraging the young people to take part in activities such as football games, but other exercises as well. And then this will be followed then by a classroom session where the aim is to raise the young people's mental health awareness, try to reduce stigma, and also try to show them strategies that they can use to look after their own mental health and well-being as well. So kind of like explaining to the young people the importance of being active and how that can enhance their well-being. And when it comes to delivering topics on trying to raise mental health awareness, they will also then try to use like sport-related or football-related examples as well. So, for example, one of the examples that they would use is showing a case study of Gary Speed, who was an ex-Premier League footballer who unfortunately lost his life to suicide only a few hours after appearing on a TV programme. So video footage from that programme is used, shown to the young people, and then they'll have a discussion around how anyone can experience a mental health problem and you may not necessarily be aware of it. And the overall aim then is to try and improve young people's understanding of mental health, and then with the hope then that that can prevent a mental health problem from developing then in the future. So we'd seen from the evaluation work that the Mentalk programme could have a real positive impact on the young people, so it could raise their awareness and reduce stigma. But we wasn't sure then whether there were other football clubs across the UK that were also delivering similar type of work. So that is where my PhD research came in then. So we looked at all of the types of programmes that could be delivered by football clubs in the UK. And we found that just over a third of clubs in the UK alone, they were delivering these sorts of types of programmes. So some of them would be quite similar to Mentalk, where they'd use like a combination of classroom activities as well as football sessions to try and improve that overall mental health and well-being. And then later stages of the research then has involved conducting interviews and focus groups with those that have been involved with these different types of programmes to try and understand the positive impact that this can have on young people overall.
Thank you. So far, what have you found from your doctoral research project?
Yeah, so in terms of when we're thinking of the mental health impact, there seems to be like 4 key ways in which these programs can have positive effects. So the one thing we found from conducting the interviews, both with the coaches that deliver the programs, as well as like the management that oversee these programs, and also the young people that take part, the one way that it has an impact is by encouraging the young people to talk openly about mental health. So that's one thing that we often found with the interviews is that they would describe how they now really understand the importance and the benefits of talking openly about their feelings, or maybe talking to someone if they were experiencing a difficulty, both like with their peers, but also like with their coaches, as well as like the teachers that could be involved with the program as well. Another thing that we found is that it can improve young people's understanding and awareness of mental health. So they've described how now they know like how to differentiate between like different possible signs of a problem, as well as they know from taking part what they should do if ever they did experience a problem in the future and where they should seek help. And other ways in which we found that the programs can have a positive benefit is because the coaches that deliver the programs, they are trained to be able to recognise the possible signs of a problem in a young person. So they can identify then those that may be at risk of developing a problem, and then they can ensure that they are signposted then to the appropriate support services. And another thing that we found as well through the research is that the young people, they would often then describe that they understand the importance of taking part in exercise then to also like look after their own well-being and try to prevent problems from ever developing in the future.
And I know, Gabby, you're very close to finishing your work now, so all the very best with the last stages. What happens next, Phil? So Gabby has been one of your PhD students, and you know what was next?
Okay, so this has become a kind of a strong theme of research in psychology at the University of South Wales, and we're currently engaged in 2 further projects. One project is with an organisation called Man vs. Fat, and this is where men are encouraged to lose weight through participating in football. So they would play weekly football games and receive dietary advice, and every week they would be weighed to kind of track their weight loss change. So we're evaluating that, and that seems to be very, very popular at the moment, and it's becoming worldwide. So that's Man vs. Fat. We're also evaluating walking football. So walking football is a particular part of or type of football only for over 50s, and there are specific rules involved in walking football in that you can't run, as the clue is in the name there. It's particularly good for people with mobility problems because running, tackling, diving and things are things that the elderly population can't do. So even walking and engaging in a sport in a walking environment can be extremely beneficial for the physical health, but also the mental health of the elderly population. So we're evaluating that with an organisation called Coldfields Regeneration Trust, and they are focused on health inequalities in deprived areas within South Wales. So those are 2 projects that we're doing. We're also looking at working with Mind, because that's the mental health charity, because they've got a physical activity exercise program. So we're trying to evaluate that. So the whole work that we're doing is all about physical activity and mental health, but with a particular focus on football, and we're engaged in that quite heavily within psychology here.
That's amazing. Thank you. So what are the next steps for both of you? So Gabby, if I start with you, so close to finishing your PhD, where would you like to take your research next?
Yeah, so in terms of the PhD research, after we're interested then in piloting some of the recommendations that have been developed. So because we've been engaged with lots of stakeholders that have experience working on these programs, they've been able to identify what really works, and then as well as like possible ways in which to develop the programs further in the future. So it'd be really interesting to try and pilot some of those recommendations then going forward over the next few years, and trying to evaluate then the impact that the programme can have on mental health, and comparing that perhaps then to individuals that don't take part. And then in terms of our research with man versus fat, so one thing to note is that we've had some of our master's students that are completing our Masters in Clinical Psychology course. They have supported the research with man versus fat for their dissertations. In the past year, they had conducted interviews as well as surveys with men that had signed up to play for the programme to explore the possible impact on mental health. And we're hoping now this year to extend that further again. So we would like to look at the impact or any possible changes in mental health from players from day one when they sign up to the programme, and then seeing changes then after they've taken part for 12 weeks. And we're really excited because we can bring in some of our current master's students again with this research this year. So they'll be able to support data collection, and then they can actually use that then for their own dissertations to complete their degrees then as well.
Thank you, Gabby. And what about yourself, Phil? What's next on the agenda?
Well, one of our goals overall is to try to understand why there are mental health benefits of being engaged in physical activity. So what we need to know is whether it's something about something happening on a biological level, such as release of endorphins or something like that. Whether it's something on a psychological level, perhaps it's a distraction from low mood, enhancement in self-esteem. Or perhaps it's something on a social level, which is the very fact that you're talking to people and engaging within a team sport makes you feel better, because essentially we are kind of social animals. So the overall goal of our research is to try to understand that a little bit more. What is it about the activity that enhances our mental health? In terms of specific projects, so as well as walking football, we're looking at evaluating other walking sports, which are fairly new, such as walking rugby, walking hockey, and I'm sure there are lots of other variations of that are in development at the moment. So to expand the area, to get more researchers looking at the benefits of physical activity and mental health, and to champion the idea that for your mental health, one of the most important things you can do is to be active.
So lovely summary. Thank you, Phil. Is there anything that you would like to add to our conversation?
Get active, play sports, I think is an important thing for people who might be listening to this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as a early career researcher, it's great to see the impact that your research can have on the real world. I think that's probably something that I would then advocate to our potential students that are going to be signing up to our courses, is to say yes to everything and try to get involved with some of this research that we are conducting then as well.
Thank you very much both. It's been lovely chatting to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and thank you to our guests, Dr. Philip Tyson and Gabrielle Hale. To find out more about this podcast, our work and psychology, please search USW Psychology.